Now, for months, the negotiation between the federal government and organized labor over consequential adjustment arising from the 30,000 naira new national minimum wage have been deadlocked.
Now, the two parties will again meet today to resume talks. But ahead of that meeting, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ayuba Waba, says the union will support whatever position the Public Service Negotiating Council adopts. Labour has been at odds with the federal government over the implementation of a new minimum wage that was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari in April. The federal government's negotiating team had first proposed a consequential adjustment of 9.5% for workers on grade levels 7 to 14 and 4.5% increase for those on 15 to 17 grade levels, a proposal Labour vehemently rejected. Joining me now is a lawyer and member, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Jide Ologun. It's nice to have you join me right now, Jide. I wonder what you see at the center of this deadlock. Every time there is a meeting since the past few months over this national minimum wage issue, they don't seem to be making headway. What do you think is at the core of this?
I think there should be a deliberate and sincere decision to give what is due in this respect. Because if you ask me, the minimum wage has been lifted from 18,000 to about 30,000 naira. And you convert that to dollars, you'll be amazed that it's even lower than what it was in 2011 when it was raised to 18. You'll be amazed that it's even lower than what it was in 2011 when it was raised to 18,000 naira. But having said that, this going back and forth does not reflect the spirit of governance sobriety, in the sense that while we are claiming that we cannot go ahead with the payment of this minimum wage, you have situations where we are debating buying official vehicles for a class of political elite with 5.5 billion naira. We have spent 11 trillion naira on fuel subsidies. So it's a matter of prioritizing. And if you look at Section 16, Subsection 12 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it says that the government should provide adequate and affordable housing, adequate and affordable food, reasonable living minimum wage, care for the old, pensions, even for the disabled, for all citizens. So where do we coming from here? Right. And the more we go forth and back, we are promoting corruption. Because if you look at the economy of this country now, for you to make ends meet, like people say, you must really earn. What can 30,000 naira even do?
But when the minimum wage was raised from about 9,000 to or there about 7,000 or thereabout to 18,000, there wasn't a debate of consequential adjustments. Why is it taking?
Like I said, it's a matter of prioritization. Okay. Right now, the debt profile of my great country is in the region of 25 trillion naira. What have we done with that money? You see, if today...
Yeah, what is the justification for that money?
Yes, we are spending so much. We are borrowing so much. All right, so what have we done with the money? And if productivity has any pride of place in our policy implementation, then you should know that the human capital is essential to it. Because we talk of infrastructures, we talk of superstructure. Yeah. The human capital constitutes the superstructure that will drive the system. But here we are now when people are just left thrown in the air. And unfortunately, I think we also fail to respect the spirit of the International Labour Organization that prescribes the reasonable living minimum wage as a way of ensuring economic justice in the workplace. So if we are focused on productivity, if we want to move forward as a people and, give to the people what they deserve.
Much has been talked about national minimum wage. Before we got to this point, the labor union had to practically fight to get an increase of 30,000 naira, which some of them have argued that is not even enough compared to what other African countries are paying your workers, per month. But leaving the argument of whether it's enough or not, why is it taking so long to actually implement 30,000 naira for Nigerian workers?
I like the expression of practically fights, because that wasn't the spirit of the International Labour Organization that was established in 1919. And in fact, the issue of minimum living wage has been on the front burner. And the concept is the fact that for you to achieve enduring peace globally, it should be based on social justice, all right? And that talks about people having what will protect them. If you look at the 1944 Declaration in Philadelphia, it's about protecting that vulnerable class of workers, and it was also emphasized in the 2008 Declaration. And the question now is that, have we taken this as a serious approach in ensuring productivity? Because you have to depend on this class to add value to the economy. But when they feel that they are deprived, what value are they going to add? That's on one side. You look at the implementation, though I can boldly tell us here that Governor Ayade of Cross River State didn't have a problem implementing the new minimum wage of 30,000 naira. In fact, he paid on the first day of May in advance, and that became a problem. You see, but many governors have complained they cannot pay. It's also because the level of productivity, resourcefulness is low, because you need to also focus on revenue drive. We have a huge pool of resources in Nigeria that can bring the prosperity. And having said that also, we talk about prioritization. In an environment where we are debating ratio of increase in salaries, we spend trillions on things that are not relevant, on medical tourism, fuel importation subsidies. So we need to come back to the basic question. Do we want to be productive as a nation? If yes, we must do the needful, because the workforce is a critical resource in
that any country shouldn't joke with. But
really
let's look at the meeting that is to go on today between the negotiating team from the the labor unions. Ayuba Wabba has said that they will go ahead to adopt whatever the negotiating team comes up with today. What do you look forward to coming from the government side? The minister has also promised, to ensure that this new minimum wage is actually implemented. But what do you envision? What do you see happening after today's meeting?
In collective bargaining in HR, you need to come to the table strong. So it depends on how well the interests of the parties are represented. But I can assure you that the government has a stronger weight than the representing body of the labor. And of course, the leader already expressed the fact that they may go along with whatever the government says. But I just want to advise the government. Right now, the world is talking about sustainable development goals. Whatever should be done should move Nigeria on the path of sustainable development. If not, we'll be promoting corruption, because when people don't have access to minimum living wage, even as stipulated in our constitution, then they cannot escape being corrupt, because in a volatile economy like ours, people are struggling to cope. And one other alternative is to provide basic amenities that will reduce the level of stress on income. For example, if electricity is available, you don't need to bother yourself about generators and things like that. If the roads are good, health facilities available, there is security, you don't have to pay vigilantes and things like that. So there are several approaches that we can innovatively embark on to resolve these issues, so that it doesn't degenerate into another crisis again like we have had in the past.
Lawyer Jide Ologun, thank you so much for your thoughts on this. Hopefully today's meeting will yield a positive result.
Thank you. God bless Nigeria.